In this video right here, Michael B. Jordan is going to be talking about his family and how he was able to prioritize them over anything, especially getting into acting young. That set a foundation of him wanting to not only stick by them, but repay them. It's your boy, Coach MUEL. I'm official like a referee with a whistle. I'm coaching you on the rules of your game, and I'm showing you how to win at them. Today we got a special reaction. We're reacting to Michael B. Jordan exclusive, how to connect with your intuition and focus on your path. Let's get into it.
Is that, or the usual suspects that you see in the audition room, or and things of that nature, you start to sometimes question why you. Now I feel as though it was my path. It was my purpose and spirituality, and growing up in a household that was very focused on church and spiritual and meditation, and just being aware of the world that we live in. I felt I was destined for something, not knowing what that was, but just something.
Wow, yeah, and I mean, when I'm hearing that, it sounds like, I love what you said. You were like, they hid we were poor and we didn't even see that. But this idea of like, you sound so, when I see you talk about your family, and for those of you watching, you can see it on Mike's face, but there's so much joy and there's bliss and there's like a happiness when you're looking back on that time. Like, I can see it's a positive experience because of how you feel you've been loved and cared for and supported, even though the resources may not have been there or the access or opportunities. And I was wondering, when I was listening to you, like, is there a memory or an experience from your childhood that you think defines who you are today? Like, was there a memory or a story that you have in your mind of an experience you went through that you think brings out maybe that service element or brings out that purposeful element?
And I think this bliss and this appreciation for how I grew up comes.
Me and Mike the same type of nigga, no haircut type niggas. Just niggas rocking out with no haircut. Acting broke.
In hindsight, the first time you have a moment where you're like
we cool and shit. Jay said he calling the mic, I'm calling the mic. We cool.
Pick up the phone, one morning, you just call your mom and be like, thank you. I get it. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry for being that kid at some point, and I'm so sorry for not understanding. I totally get what you guys are going through. Sheesh. I love you guys, like you have those moments when you get older, that you just can't really have that perspective when you were a kid. And I think, I was very mischievous, as well. And I think there were moments when my dad disciplined me, for whatever whatever I did at that time. And then my mom would have a conversation with me around the why. And then being also forced or pushed and nudged into a space where you had to acknowledge your siblings also, in that situation, and the importance of family and what that means. My parents have different upbringings, what I'm saying, from, and different family structures growing up. But one thing they've always provided us with is just a sense of like family over everything, and how important that is. And that just kind of kept the groundedness to me throughout. So I think just the experiences of just family.
I like your point about hindsight. I've definitely made that call to my mom, for sure. Like, yeah, I've made that call to my mom. But we were around the same age, so for me, it's like, I made that call, and I think I made it probably like 25, maybe 26. It was probably around then when I finally made that call. And not that I didn't love my mom before that, of course I did, but it was like that honest understanding of just how hard it was to do what she did, because she was raising two kids. She was dropping us to school, picking us up. She was the breadwinner of the family. She made us breakfast, lunch, and dinner fresh every day. Like, and you don't recognize that as a kid. You don't realize the sacrifice, the hustle, and always making you feel loved on top of doing all of that. It's hard work. You said that now you feel like you've got to a place that it's your path. What was that switch for you that went from like, I don't deserve this, God, like I feel out of place, I'm lucky, to being like, no, actually now I see.
Yeah, this is what I was looking for. I get that he was feeling guilty and didn't want to have a quote unquote boring childhood, not do childhood things. But when did he evolve past that? That's what I'm curious to see.
As this was meant to be my path, because I think a lot of people And a lot of our listeners will be there. Like, a lot of people are like, they're making moves, and maybe they're the first person in their family to go to college, or maybe they're the first person who started up a business and is an entrepreneur, or maybe one of our listeners is trying to break generational trauma and they're the first person to spot it.
Yes.
But then they all live in that space of like, can I do this? Like, am I the one to do this? And so what was it that made that switch from like, I'm not sure I'm the guy, but it is my path?
It's the sum of all things leading up into that point. I think it's all the doubt. It's the imposter syndrome. It's the blessing.
Yeah, I feel like you just keep getting work and everyone around you just keeps telling you you're good. And eventually you're like, oh yeah, I'm up. Like, you know, I don't think the switch is necessarily flipped for you unless you know how to flip it for yourself. But I feel like he's on the scene as a young actor. He's probably getting so much praise. You know what I'm saying? You separate yourself by just the amount of praise, the amount of work, the people you're around. I don't think it was like. I feel like this answer that he's about to give is so like phony. I almost don't even want to listen to it.
That you can't really accept fully, and you listen to other people speak who are successful, or you see examples that you kind of feel connected to, like, man, that kind of feels like me, or what he just said or what she just said, I resonate with that. You know, I feel like that sometimes, you know. Other people who are looking at you saying, no, Mike, this is what you have. This is what you can be.
Literally. I'm too smart.
This is what you are. Nah, that can't. No, that's too good. No, that ain't me. You know, your own presence in a situation where you have to step back and look at yourself and be like, am I this guy right now? Like, oh man, there's a room full of people who showed up because of something I'm doing, and they're in service or in support of my idea, my thing. Okay, that looks and feels like I'm the guy. Okay, I'm in the industry where, you know, the success of your work and your art has been, you know, dictated and validated by other people's opinions, and whether those opinions are factual or projected on you from their own individual perspective. I think it was a combination of all those things, and
it's very different though for like a young actor. There's so much. If you want to be an actor and you're young, just do it. You're gonna get right. If you stick with it, you're gonna get right, bro. Because they're gonna be able to mold you into the actor that you need to be, the actress that you need to be, for whatever role. They're gonna mold you for it, and then you're gonna have the basics already down. You're gonna be able to transit as long as you don't do no dumb shit. As long as you stay out the drugs, stay out the alcohol, keep improving on your craft, keep taking classes. If you are like, I don't know, like younger than 8, yo, you're golden. Just stick with it, gang. Just stick with it, because they really gonna get you right. There's not that many. I mean, there's a lot of young actors, but not many that are actually focused, or that their parents know how to keep them in it, you know, or parents force them to stay in it, right? Because that's what a lot of parents do. If you look at like an Amanda Bynes or whatever that girl's name from the Nickelodeon show, her parents like kept her in it. They kept her close to the producers, to the directors. Maybe not for the, you know, for the better, but that's the consequences of being in that, you know, in that space at a young age, if your parents aren't watching you. So make sure if you're putting your kid in acting and they're young, watch out. Just lock in. You feel me? Be around your kid. Be present. Focus out. You feel me? Focus out for the predators. But look, the point is, it's much different for you right now trying to break into it and learn as an adult, because the skill set is much different, right? Like the learning curve is much different because your brain isn't as shapeable. It's like starting to harden up. You're starting to really get set in your ways, right? You're starting to become an old dog who can't learn new tricks, and you're like you believe these things, and it's hard to change your belief. because that's just how things have been. You've been trained to believe these things and do these things and over and over and over again. Then you get to a place where it's hard for you to pick up new skills and like jump into acting and jump into YouTube, jump into whatever you want to jump into. We have to start to, you know, peel back on that training and see where that training comes from to then be able to change how we think. But the point that I wanted to make was, don't think that this shit is going to be easy for you because it was easy for him, and that you're going to automatically see the success and see the validation from the people around you. Because yes, he did have to work for that, but because he started learning so young, he had an easier transition, and he was able to see a bit of a quicker growth, right? And a bit of a quicker learning curve, right? Because like I mentioned before, he had less training, and the less training you have, the more you can start to build from a good foundation, which is the most important part about starting things young. Is you have that foundation. You're on set, they teach you everything you need to know about acting, they teach you everything you need to know about being successful, and then depending on how you apply that information, right, depending on who your parents are, how close they keep you to the craft, how close they keep you to the thing. It could be anything, right? It could be a sport, it could be, you know, a school, it could be a subject, right? Depends on the level of success. With that said, it's gonna be hard for somebody like you to learn, right? And it's gonna be it's not difficult. It's not gonna be impossible, but it is gonna be difficult because now that your foundation isn't where it must be to see success, and see success that's gonna last. Like, he's probably been acting for 20, 30 years now, right? He's probably in his 30s, mid 30s. He's probably been acting for 20 years plus on a good foundation. Let's say you want to get into acting, let's say you want to get into podcasting. If you aren't able to work through that training, if you aren't able to look at the situation, which is yourself and your goal, unbiasedly, if you aren't able to sit down and say, you know what I'm doing right now and how I've thought about success my whole entire life, this may not be the best version. This may not allow me to learn and grow like I want to. Let me find a new way. If you're not able to do that, it's going to be even more difficult, because not only do you not have the strong foundation, not only do you not have you not been doing it for years and have not been groomed to be successful and are now getting that validation throughout time, throughout that grooming, right? But you will also not see you will also not see the praise, right? You won't see the results of your actions until you build that strong foundation to then be able to start to see success from an area where society views success. Yeah, that was deep. And if I could say that all again in about a minute, what I would say is, he started acting young. He was groomed for success because he was moldable, he was on the scene. He was probably, he had the acting build. It's, Michael B. Jordan. Imagine Michael B. Jordan as a kid. He has a face for acting, right? He has a face for the screen. 3, now people start to validate him because he was built on a strong foundation. So he's actually good. Like, he's actually pretty good, right? They see something in him because his foundation is good. They see potential in him to continue to be a good actor throughout time because they know he started this young, and they know how far he's planning to go because they're giving him the playbook. They're saying, look, we're going to keep you on this set. We're going to have you on this show for this amount of time. Oh, we made this connection here. We're going to bring you over here for a little bit. We're going to bring you over here for a little bit, right? They're allowing him to grow, and they're growing with him. And so now think of yourself. You have not had that training growing up. You haven't had people putting you in position. You haven't had people training you because you're getting old, right? You're you know, it's like you're getting old. No one really wants to teach you. No one really wants to take the time to sit down with you and be like, hey man, you know, that's not gonna work, because you won't listen, because you've been trained not to listen. You've been trained to believe what you believe, and that's stopping you from learning, right? And because that's stopping you from learning, you won't be able to be validated by the people around you, because you're not doing it in the way that they see it as success. You'd want to do it your way. Keep doing it your way. Yeah. Keep doing it your way, man. Keep doing it your way.
Been curious and walked towards the how do I make myself better?